Welcome to the show. We are 3 days away from NFL Week 1. Kansas City versus Detroit. I cannot be more excited. It's such an exciting game to open up the week with. We are here today to talk about teams that will exceed expectations in 2023, whether it's Vegas expectations or just the general public consensus. If you're anything like me, right now you are absolutely inundated in fantasy football drafts this year. At this time of the year, I am just swamped. I feel like everybody waits till the last week. But hey, that's part of the process. We absolutely love it. Before we dive into this, guys, if you check out our Statlytics app, we would greatly appreciate it. We're currently testing this. It's all-encompassing NFL and college football analytics app. You can see all sort of matchup comparisons and player comparisons for both sports. We're testing that right now. We would love some additional help and feedback on what you like and what you don't like, what we could do better. So we can push it to production. But nonetheless, let's get started with the content. Let's talk about 5 teams that I think will exceed expectations this year. Starting off with number 1, the Washington Commanders. Now, I love the culture change here. I love the leadership change. I love the new ownership, the new front office, the new staff outside. Everything is really different except some of the roster and Ron Rivera, really. They have a 6.5 win total. So Vegas kind of has low expectations for them, rightfully so. I mean, it's a tough division in the NFC East with the Cowboys, Giants, and the Eagles, of course. So 6.5 win total is reasonable, but I think they exceed expectations, not only on that front, but just the general consensus public opinion due to the fact that they're, a complete unknown. So we know what we're used to out of the Washington Commanders. The past 5 years has really been abysmal. But I think that with the culture change, I think with the quarterback change, I think with Bieniemy, again, nobody knows what to expect out of those two, but I think one of them is really going to elevate the Commanders to the next level, if not both. And so what I mean by that is, either Bieniemy or Sam Howell could be better than what everybody is expecting, and I think that will elevate the Commanders team regardless. I think that this offense will look a little bit different. It won't be the same, just slow pace, grinder, abysmal, honestly, team to watch. Last year they had a league low offensive EPA margin, and they're league worst in efficiency ratings, but they did have the 12th best rushing offense in the league, so I don't expect that to change. But with Sam Howell, with Bieniemy, I expect there to be a little more zip in the offense. People also forget the defense is still an elite unit when they're healthy. Chase Young is back, and then the entire defensive front is healthy. Montez Sweat, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, all of them are healthy. All of them are dogs. That is a mean front. They also added Emmanuel Forbes Jr. at corner. I really expect this team to be a top 12 unit. I expect them to be a top 3rd defensive unit in the league this year. And I think that'll go a long way if their offense can step it up and be, just exceed expectations in that front, even just a little bit. So I'm really looking forward to the Commanders this year. I think that with all of the changes, I think they really surprised people coming into this year. So despite the tough strength of schedule. 2, Falcons. Desmond Ridder is a certain upgrade compared to Mariota, and I don't say that lightly because anybody would be an upgrade against Mariota. And now he's not going to be any Matt Ryan, but an upgrade nonetheless. However, despite Mariota's bad play last year, the offense was 14th overall in EPA margin, and they can definitely be more dangerous with an upgrade in arm talent. They already have arguably the best rushing attack in the league, metrically speaking, and just by the eye test. But they added a generational talent at running back to supplement that offense as well. So they only got more dangerous. People forget Drake London and Kyle Pitts. They're an underrated duo when they're both healthy. Kyle Pitts finally healthy off of the MCL surgery. He was a 1,000-yard receiver as a rookie. Now, that was with Matt Ryan. I cannot tell you if Desmond Ridder is going to be anything like Matt Ryan, but again, he's an upgrade from Mariota nonetheless. They're projected to have a top 10 offensive line with the addition of Matthew Bergeron. And the defense is sneaky. Grady Jarrett, Bud Dupree, Calais Campbell, they all lead the front on the defensive line. A.J. Terrell has a chance to cement himself as a top 10 cornerback in the league this year. He had a great rookie year. He did have some injury issues, but he's back, he's healthy, and he can ball out this year. I really have high expectations for him alone in this defense, and to really carry his weight and become, one of the league's most dominant corners. I think he has that talent. He also added Jeff Okuda in the secondary as well. Now, he had some shaky history as well. He's not, he had high expectations as a player. He, struggled here and there, but this is a chance to renew himself, and I think it'll be a good addition for the Falcons. They also have the second easiest projected strength of schedule, mainly because of the defenses they face and mainly because of the division that they play on. They'll get the Panthers twice, they'll get the Bucs twice, and they'll get the Saints twice. So in all reality, this is a soft division, and the Falcons have every chance to just grip it by the horns and win outright. Everybody's picking the Saints, which rightfully so. They're going to be a solid team as well. But I think the Falcons, everybody's kind of sleeping on the Falcons this year and the fact that they are more than likely going to be the better team in this division. So I like the Falcons over the Saints here to win that division. I just think they're a better overall offensive unit and a better overall team. When you stack roster to roster, especially the trenches, I think people are really sleeping on the Falcons' offensive and defensive line. Both of them projected to be really, really good this year. And I love the Falcons. Again, that's a biased pick, but hey, go Birds. Third team. This one might come to a surprise to everybody, but Kellen Moore is a aggressive offensive coordinator. He gets paired with an aggressive quarterback. I think the Chargers really exceed expectations. And let me explain myself with this pick. Truth of the matter is the Chargers every single year let everybody down. And they're always mediocre. They're always like a 9-ish, 10-win teams. They have some good years mixed in there, but last year they lost to the Jags. They gave up a massive lead. So they really don't live up to expectations ever. But I think this year with the addition of Kellen Moore, now I'm not saying that Kellen Moore is going to be the reason that the Chargers take the next step into Super Bowl contention or anything. But if you look at Joe Lombardi's offense with the Chargers in previous years, specifically last year, let's talk about that. 28th overall in yards per completion and one of the league's worst average depth of target. He did not stretch the field with Justin Herbert, which is a sin. You should be fired on the spot if you do not utilize Justin Herbert in the way that he was built. Justin Herbert has an explosive arm. He can really stretch the field. And if you have one of the league's worst average depth of target and you're 28th overall in yards per completion in the league, then you're doing something wrong. So Kellen Moore will be much more aggressive with his play calling. He will be much more efficient with his play calling. Will he be the answer? I don't know. I cannot forecast that, but I do think he will be an upgrade on top of the fact that they retain their weapons on offense and added Quentin Johnson on the perimeter. So it is do or die for the Chargers this year. I think if there ever was a time to, win the whole damn thing for the Chargers, it's now. They won't have Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, and Mike Williams on the team forever. They won't have the offensive line talent that they do now, and their defense is actually a solid unit. Although last year they hemorrhaged rushing yards last year. They were a solid passing unit, but they were dead last in the league in yards per carry allowed. So if they clean up their rushing defense, they can really be a threat to win it all this year. So that's why they made this list. Truth of the matter is they've always been mediocre, but this is the chance that they can actually be a contender for the title this year. So that's why they're on this list. I really like the Chargers this year. I hope they don't burn me like they have in the past. Fourth team, Seattle. People think Geno Smith's success was just a streak of luck. They think it was kind of like due to the schedule that he faced, they think it was just all right. But if you dive deep into the numbers, if you dive deep into the metrics, he actually had a great season, and it wasn't luck by any means. He was a top 10 quarterback in EPA added in 2022. They had the 9th best overall offense in total points per game, 9th overall in yards per game, and top 3rd offenses in many more metrics. They also added Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's projected to only be out 1 or 2 games. It was originally thought to be a month, but he's an added weapon for this offense. Gino is in his second year as a starter. His confidence has grown. He's more comfortable in this offense with his team. So I fully expect Seattle to really make the next step. And because of the chaos that's going on in this division, that's why I have Seattle as a team to exceed expectations, because I think they win the division this year. I think that with the 49ers being in the state that they are right now with the Trey Lance news and stuff, Brock Purdy may not be as good as everybody thinks. The only problem there is I could definitely see something like Sam Darnold comes in and is all of a sudden like this generational talent at quarterback, and he leads the 49ers to the Super Bowl. That's just the perfect storyline. So if the NFL scripted and that happens, then we know for sure. So, but I think the Seahawks should be the front runner to win this division. The Rams are one injury away from being horrible. The Cardinals are like anything but openly tanking. They're pretty much just doing it outright. It's crazy. So that's the conversation for another day. But this conference or this division specifically, Seattle has a chance to really elevate themselves and come out on top. So I think that this team still doesn't garner the respect that they earned from last year, just due to some mishaps. I think they should have won one or two more games than they actually did last year. So I think that Geno Smith takes another step forward. I think the weapons in this offense take another step forward. I really love the Seahawks this year. I fully expect them to exceed expectations, whether it's Vegas expectations or just the general public. Last team. I've been high on this team pretty much all summer. So if they let me down, then I'm screwed. But I really like the Cleveland Browns this year because I think they have one of the most complete rosters in the NFL. But it all kind of hinges on Deshaun Watson. People forget, actually nobody forgets. I think it's just people may not expect him to return back to elite form. He obviously was one of the best quarterbacks in the league at one point. He did suck last year. I'm not even gonna try and argue against that. But maybe it was the distractions. Maybe it was the fact that he was suspended the first 12 games. Whatever it may be, I think that with a full off season under his belt, maybe some time to let the distractions clear and whatnot, I think that this Cleveland Browns team has a chance to be special. They have a chance to be a really solid playoff contender. I think that their offensive line is stacked, has been for the past couple of years. Their running game is a top 5 running game. They added weapons on the perimeter. They have Amari Cooper. They added Elijah Moore. They drafted Cedric Tillman. They have Donovan Peoples-Jones. They signed David Njoku to an extension. They have Harrison Bryant, who's a really solid backup tight end option. I have high expectations for this offense, and the defense is not great, but it's a really, really solid unit led by Myles Garrett and company. This division will be scrappy, with the Ravens, with the Bengals, with even the Steelers might have a chance to be pretty solid this year. It will be scrappy, but I do have high expectations for Cleveland, and I fully expect them to be in the playoffs. Now, I really hope they don't let me down. I've been high on them all offseason, but I think that not only with the roster that they have, but the coaching staff, Kevin Stefanski calling the plays, I think he's an underrated play caller. I really love everything that's going for this Cleveland Browns team. It all hinges on Deshaun. If Deshaun can even get close to what he was, this team is a playoff contender, no doubt. So that's my 5 teams. We appreciate you guys listening. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to give us a 5-star rating if you're listening on Spotify. And don't forget, check out our app. We would really appreciate you guys testing it out, letting us know what you like, what you don't like, and all of that. So happy first week. Best of luck in your fantasy football rosters, teams, leagues, whatever it may be. Happy sports betting. Thank goodness we are back. We've made it. And I will talk to you guys next week.